All right. There's a lot of discussion in the world about what it takes to make a big leap, the courage that it takes to make a change, to go from one thing to another thing. And most people coming into the academy are making that kind of a transition. And this discussion about courage, when you hear it, it's as though the following is true. It's as though there's an organ right next to your liver called the courage organ. But not everybody gets the courage organ. Some people get it and some people don't. And some people get a bigger one and some people get a littler one and some people don't even get one. Well, here's what I know. I'm a medical professional. At 16 years old, I became a hospital orderly, which qualifies me to have this discussion with you. What I know for a fact is there is no organ next to your spleen or mine called courage. And so here's the difference. The difference between people who produce legendary results and breakthroughs in their lives and breakthroughs in their business is the following. We all have the same level of concern, of fear, of terror when starting a new thing. I'll tell you a quick personal story. When I decided to create my second podcast, which is called Lockhead on Marketing, I was getting ready to launch it. And we had created the first 3 or 4 episodes. And this was the first time I was sort of committing to doing solo episodes that were highly educational oriented, not very much with a guest. So I'd recorded the first 3 or 4 episodes. They were in the queue. They were ready to go. It was like 8:30 or something like that the night before. All the missiles were in the silos. And I looked on my social, and we had announced this stuff on social media. And I looked at the social media, and somebody responded with, wow, Lockhead on Marketing. This is going to be great. This is going to be like Bruce Lee on martial arts. When I read that post in response to a promotional post, I pooed. I shit myself. I had a moment of complete and total terror. And I called Jamie J, who's in charge of all of our technical hoo-haing, and I said, stop everything. Do not launch the podcast. We got to re-record these episodes. And so, look, we can all have that fear. By the way, we did re-record the episodes and they launched and it became a success, but whatever. The point is, we all feel that fear. And here's the difference between legendary people and non-legendary people. There's only one difference. The legendary person puts their foot in front of the other. The non-legendary person stops. We all have the same fear. All of us, at whatever level. And the only difference between the legendary and the non-legendary is the legendary keep going. I remember meeting my dear friend, God rest her soul, Melanie Gideon, multi-time New York Times best-selling fiction author, at the very beginning of my writing career. And I asked her what the secret was. You know what she said to me? Every writer I started with stopped, and I didn't. And that's the difference.
Let me build on what Christopher said with in the situation where you're close and almost there, what's probably going through your brain is, do I need the academy? Can I save some money and can I get there myself? Or, you know what? I just want to do it myself. You know, I don't want to ask for help and I want to see if I can get there, right? And that I think what we're trying to tear apart is the difference between distance, I'm close, and time. Because you can be very close and take a long time to close that distance. And that the real culprit is not distance, it's time. And that the beauty of being close is that it doesn't take a lot of time, but the fact that you are close doesn't mean that you will actually cross the transom. That doesn't mean you'll make the leap. And that time is the real currency that you're looking for. And that what you will find is that inertia is the real enemy and the villain behind that. And that the past wants to cling to the past. They're like crabs in a bucket. They won't let you get out. When I told my partners I was leaving the Cambridge group to go out on, I wanted to go out on my own. I wanted to write more. You could feel the crabs start to grab me. And they come in a couple of ways, right? I had somebody from Nielsen come and say, stop. If it's a money thing, let's put some money together that we can throw at you and keep you around, And then other people would say, okay, I respect the decision. Can you give us some time? maybe stick around for this and that or whatever else it is. And there might be a little Scooby snack in it for you. Or we're going through some discussions about, potentially a sale or an acquisition. Can you stick around and help us with that? There are any number of things that are like, they seem small and innocuous, but they hold you back. They hold you from crossing that very, very short distance. And so what we want to make sure is that you're very clear-eyed about what is the real barrier and the real enemy here. The fact that you're close doesn't mean that you're going to get there any faster. Speed is what you're looking for, and inertia is the real enemy. And don't forget, there's lots and lots of crabs externally that are holding you in the bucket, and there's lots of crabs internally that are keeping you from saying, maybe now's not the right time. Maybe give it a month, give it a quarter, give it a year. And I am so glad that I made the leap when I did, because immediately I was gangbusters with a couple of clients. Shortly thereafter, I met Christopher. We met beforehand, but we started jamming together and writing a book. And that, imagine if I had stayed a little bit longer and, the crabs kept coming. I would get calls from headhunters. Would you like to come join our farm and lead this practice and this and that? So the crabs will never stop coming to keep you in the bucket. The distance may never close. Time is the one you want to solve for. And remember, some of these doors are two-way doors. You can cross the transom with the help of the community, and you can always go back if it's not the right time. But don't make the mistake of, I'm close and therefore I will cross it.